A low FODMAP diet may help to reduce the symptoms of IBS. Here's everything you need to know. The low FODMAP diet is a diet specifically designed for those with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, in mind. Those on the diet will go through 3 phases: elimination, reintroduction, and integration, where they will hopefully discover which foods may be triggering their IBS symptoms, and which they can continue to eat going forward without problems. The low FODMAP diet cuts out or significantly reduces the consumption of certain sugars, which tend to sit in our digestive systems and ferment as we struggle to digest them. As our gut microbiota break them down, they produce gas, which can cause painful bloating and other uncomfortable symptoms. IBS affects 7 to 15% of the general population, with many people experiencing bloating, gas, and stomach pain, as well as constipation, diarrhea, or a mixture of the two. These symptoms can range from mildly uncomfortable to debilitating, with one person with IBS experiencing the condition differently from the next. What are FODMAPs? FODMAP stands for fermentable oligo-D- monosaccharides and polyols, which are short-chain sugars that can trigger symptoms in those with IBS when eaten. FODMAPs are short chains of sugars found in a variety of grains, fruit, and vegetables, as well as added to some processed foods, explains Dr. Bridget Wilson, a Doctify-reviewed gut specialist and clinical and research dietitian. The sugars are linked together in such a way that humans may not be able to digest them. These FODMAP sugars are able to be digested by the gut microbes in a process called fermentation, which produces gas as a byproduct. FODMAPs exist in a wide range of foods, according to a study in the Nutrients, opens in New Tab, journal, and people may struggle with properly avoiding them or sufficiently meeting their nutritional requirements while following a low FODMAP diet, so the support of a dietitian is vital for success. What can you eat on a low FODMAP diet? Dr. Wilson encourages those on the low FODMAP diet to seek expert help, particularly in the restriction phase. You can eat food from all food groups on a low FODMAP diet. It is important to get specialist advice to help you follow the diet accurately and to maintain a good balance of nutrients while following the restricted phase of the diet, she says. Some foods that you can still enjoy on the low FODMAP diet include vegetables: carrots, chives, cucumbers, eggplant.